Morning. Today we're going to be doing an initial review on a fast track loan qualification. We're going to do Capacity Logistics Specialist LLC. So the first thing I want to do on this file is check my NAICS code. We'll do that by going to the Documents tab and pulling up a current copy of the most recent year's tax returns. I'll make a mental note here of the business structure. This is an S corp, and I can find the next code here, which is going to be 541614. I'll check that against our spreadsheet that has a list of all of the acceptable codes for the program. Here, we'll find the code 541614, and it is for logistics and it does pass. If it does not pass, it would have been in this pink shade. Because it's in the white, it does pass and qualify. So the second step that we'll do now that we know that our next code has passed is we'll want to check the credit for the client. We use two credit bureaus, the V8, and we also use the V9. For the fast track program, we'll check on the V9. So we want to go here and order the client's credit report. Okay, here we'll enter in all of the client's information, and the minimum credit score that we need to pull for the fast track program will be a 700. You don't want to save this information, there's no need. Great. The client passes with a 801. So I'll save a copy of the credit report and upload it to my file. I always name the reports with the credit score for easy reference. So I'll put in the credit score of 801, and then I use the business name, which will be Capacity Logistics. Now that I have my passing credit score, I'll drag the credit report into this tab, upload it to the file, and accept this condition. Now, my next step that I'll want to do is check my application credit questions to make sure that they are all proper. Here we want to make sure that the client is a U.S. citizen or a permanent resident. For the Fast Track program, they have to be a 51% U.S. citizen or permanent resident alien. Non-permanent resident aliens, unfortunately, do not qualify for the program. In this case, our client is not married, but in the event that the client was married, we would always want to make sure that we gather the spouse's email, and there'd be a tab here on this page for the spouse's email in that event that the client was married. But they're not married, so we want to go check these questions. Also check to make sure the next code is filled in properly here, which it is. So this is the client does not have a home-based business, so it'll be important to note that the home address and the business address will be different. And so I'm going to want to check that here on my application. So here they live at their home address is 3840 Southwest 10th Court in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. And then their business address is in Coral Springs, Florida. So that coincides with the question that they've answered here. The business is not involved in a litigation, which is very important. They cannot be for the fast track program. The business is not a franchise. In the event that they were, we'd need additional conditions, such as the franchise disclosure agreement and the franchise agreement as well. client cannot have a bankruptcy, or bankruptcies are allowed as long as they're 10 years old. In this case, the client has not filed bankruptcy, which is a good thing. It's important to note here in this section that we have more than one owner. So Paul Small is a 10% owner. Um, Kenneth is also a 10% owner, and that is going to make Danita 80%. Um, Once I'm done with my questions, I'll want to make sure that I check that information on the tax returns to make sure that it's accurate. Again, no bankruptcies, no tax liabilities, which is important for this program. If there were any tax liabilities, they would need to be paid in full. 941 taxes of $500 or more are not allowed for this program. They're not currently involved in any lawsuits. They don't have any felony convictions, which is also not allowed on the Fast Track program. Um, Business does not have any affiliates, which we are also going to check on the tax returns. Um, so they've answered all of the questions properly, and they're requesting a loan amount of $150,000. So here I'm going to want to go back to my Documents tab, pull up my tax returns again. And the first thing that I'm going to want to do is check to make sure that the ownership is correct. And I'll do that by pulling up a copy of the K-1s. So I'll go down to this section, and Danita is 80%, Paul is 10%, and Kenneth is 10%. Now, because we have these additional owners, we'll need Kenneth's social security number. On these redacted tax returns, we don't have that information, so we'll have to request it because it will be required. We'll need a copy of his driver's license, and we'll also need his date of birth. The same thing goes for Paul. We'll need his social security number, driver's license, and his date of birth as well. Um, Now that we've had the ownership established and the application questions do aligned, um, we also want to, there was another question. Let me go check to see that I wanted to check on the tax returns. And that was for the affiliates. So to check for affiliates with the tax returns, I want to go to their personal tax returns, the most current year. They indicated that they do not have any affiliates. If affiliates are there, it'll be listed on their personal tax return. So I'm going to want to go here to check to make sure that that question has also been accurately answered. And I'll check that by seeing if they have a Schedule E listed in the tax returns. If there are any affiliates, then it'll be listed on their Schedule E. Here is the Schedule E. And I'm just going to check to see if there are any affiliates here. And lo and behold, there are affiliates. So they answered the question no on the application, but here I can see that they have um, two other S corps, which is going to be this one and Harborside. Um, Here's the EIN for each. And so here I'm going to want to request an affiliate addendum for each business, although they've indicated that they don't have affiliates. So once we go back to the Documents tab, we can note here, oh, well, it looks like they did include an affiliate addendum, although they answered the question no on the application. So let's just take a look at this and see what we have. Okay, so we have it for Facets of Gold, but we don't have it for the other business listed. So um, we'll have to make sure to include that condition. And we can do that here by checking this plus sign and adding the condition here. So we'll add the condition for an affiliate addendum, and then we'll add the business name, Harborside. But let me just go make sure that that is the correct business name. Okay, so the business name is Harborside Corp. So we've added the condition here, and now I want to make sure to go and attach a copy of the affiliate addendum so that the client will have a copy. So I keep a template here on my computer. I'll open it, and now the affiliate addendum is attached for them to be able to complete that for this particular business. Once I close that out, condition is added. So I can go ahead and accept this condition for Facet Gold. Um, and now that I know that my loan has passed the application questions, I'm going to want to check for the income. For the Fast Track program, $8 in profit is required for qualification. So here on line 21, we'll find our business income. So the business income is $436,039. Here they've earned gross receipts of over $2 million. So for the Fast Track program, the qualification is 33% of the gross receipts. Client requested 150,000, so we're well above the loan amount requirement for the loan, so they can qualify for the maximum loan amount of 150,000 based on these gross receipts. They have the at least $1 in profit, and just for 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 purposes of knowing what the EBITDA is on the loan, we're going to want to check that too. So for the to add, so we can, I'm going to do add backs here. Add backs are not allowed on the Fast Track program, but because they have so much income, I'd want to check to see if they can qualify for a different program. And so that's why I'm going to check the EBITDA here. So one of the add backs that is allowed is depreciation, line 14. They don't have any, but they do have interest, which is line 13. So I'll want to add the $34,830 to the $436,039. I also want to go check to see if they have any amortization. And here on this line, I can see that they have a total deduction of over $1 million. So I'm going to want to go check to see what that is. The amortization will likely be in this number if there is any. So I'm going to want to go check. So I'll scroll down to the statement where it has that information listed. Okay, unfortunately, it looks like this statement is not included in these returns. So I'm not able to check for the amortization, but I can see that they do have the K1 in here, which another add back that is allowed is the 179 deduction. So I want to check the K1s to see if there's anything that I can add back here in this section as well. There's nothing listed, so there'd be nothing for Danita. There isn't any for Paul listed as well. nor is there any listed for Kenneth. But if there was, we would add that back. In this instance, I'd want to request a complete copy of the return so I can check for the amortization to see what the true EBITDA is. But at this point, um, I can see that they have plenty. So now what I want to do is go to my workflows and start checking off everything that I've done. So, and the workflows tell you exactly what you need to do on the loan, in which order, and how it needs to be done. We've checked the NACS code and it qualifies. We've pulled the credit, and although this number says 675, it has changed, and the minimum requirement now for the fast track is 700. So you want to be mindful of that. We've checked all of the application questions to make sure that they don't have any felonies, bankruptcies, tax liens, pending litigations, that they're at least 51% U.S. citizen or non-permanent resident alien. So we can check this off. Uh, if you note here, the workflows tells me also that I need to check to make sure that the business has been in existence for a minimum of 2 years or had earned income for 2 years. And I did not do that. So I want to check that on my tax returns, and I can do that here. So this business was incorporated back in 2019. So that's a good thing. And I also want to make sure that I do have a 2 years tax returns. So I check here for 2021, and let's see. They had income in 2021 as well. So we meet that requirement as well. But this is why the workflows are magical, because they tell you everything that you need to do exactly when you need to do it. Following the workflows will keep you organized and also make sure that you don't miss any steps. So I want to check this one now. And now that I know that I have a passing credit score, I want to check this workflow. And then here is where we'll go to change from completed completed application to pre-qualification review, because they've passed credit and they meet the income requirements. But we're not done with our workflows yet. So we want to go back to the workflows. Here, the client has lots of EBITDA. So in this instance, we'll want to check this workflow, alerting the partner that they can qualify for even more than the $150,000 that they've requested on the Fast Track program. And so once we do this, it'll alert our partner, letting them know that this loan can qualify for the boost or the 7A program as well. The next step I'll want to complete is to send out our consultant services agreement to the client. And we'll do that by going to the share folder. So once we're in share file, we'll want to go to our folders. No, I'm sorry, we'll want to do our signatures. Here we keep the templates for the Fast Track and the Boost program. We can find all of our templates. I want to select the template for the Fast Track program. And here I'll enter in the client's name and email address.